What was the moment that you realized that someone was obsessed with you in an unhealthy way? What tipped you off? Let me preface this with, I've never been a big social media user. It's too personal, too intrusive. I was bartending at a local hole in the wall, and I had a regular that was nice and flirty, typical bartender customer stuff. One day he says to me, "You were at John's house Sunday morning. You guys a thing?" I asked him how he knew I was there, and he said he saw my car. I was a little taken aback, but I was parked on the main road and my car was fairly distinctive, so I didn't think much of it. A couple weeks later, he'd made a joke that I was never home, because my car was always gone when he passed by. That made the hair on my neck stand up, but again, I don't exactly live off the beaten path, so okay. When I really knew that it was more than casual observations was when he started complimenting me on different outfits and hairstyles I wore on my days off prior to my shift. He'd also make comments about receiving packages or coming home with after shopping. "You should find someone who would carry those groceries into the house for you. I'd never make you carry the bags in the house after all that shopping you did on Saturday." It was really creepy, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched for a long time. What made him stop? I stopped being friendly and was just very professional in the way I interacted with him. Eventually, he stopped coming into the bar during my shifts. I don't know if that's when he stopped noticing my comings and goings, but I still felt like there were eyes on me. The whole thing made my skin crawl. I called one of my coworkers out for being a little too handsy/creepy at work when I had expressed my lack of interest repeatedly. As an apology, he got me a gift card to Victoria's Secret. Oh my, you just brought back a memory I had deeply buried. I was friends with someone in community college. We weren't like super close, but we were like group friends, meaning a bunch of us would hang out sometimes and he was always there. I didn't have any classes or anything with him. One day he told us to meet at the mall around the holidays because he had a present for me. He said it was a birthday/Christmas gift and singled me out because my birthday had just passed. I was kind of weirded out in the first place because we had never agreed to give each other presents, but we all met at the mall anyway. He hands me the present and tells me to open it in front of everyone. I do. It's a lacy red thong. I'm standing there in the middle of a crowded mall, it's around the holidays, holding this thong, absolutely mortified. He tries to look debonair and says to me, "Your gift to me would be wearing it." I laughed it off, but never hung out with him again. He kept pursuing me over the years and showing up at my job, which was at the mall where we all met. He would come in wearing these suits and kept telling me about his big opportunity and how if I joined him for a quick meeting, he could set me up for life. I was having none of it and literally looked around my shitty retail job and said, "Nah, I'm good." He said he moved to New York, but I think he went to jail. When she started sending nudes to my work email because I asked her to stop contacting me. I changed my Snapchat account and blocked her number, but my email is on my company's website, so she found it. That was an awkward conversation with my IT guys. IT guys have absolutely seen worse. When my dad showed up to my place of work, we had been estranged, but he knew I worked at Starbucks and had traveled from location to location to figure out where I had transferred to and when my shifts were scheduled. Even had the balls to call the store and pretend to be me to get my schedule info. I saw his vehicle parked out front and freaked out and ran inside. He followed in after about 30 minutes, right as the morning rush was hitting full swing, and started berating me in front of all of my coworkers and customers. That's the day I went and learned about restraining orders. Right until the end, I was hoping that he was trying to make amends, albeit in a creepy way. This guy at college would follow me everywhere. One day, I just went out to buy my lunch and he came with me. He didn't buy anything, just followed me. Even when I told him he was making me uncomfortable, he still would not leave me alone. I didn't want to sound rude though. Eventually, he started trying to get on the bus with me when I would head home. That was the last straw for me. The next time he tried to follow me onto the bus and actually managed to step on, I pushed him off and urgently told the driver to close the doors. The driver instantly took the hint and shut them. I told him the guy was stalking me, showed my student ID, which allowed me on the bus for free, and took a seat.
The next day, the guy had the audacity to ask me why I didn't let him come home with me. I told him to stop following me around from then on. What upsets me about this is how we are conditioned that it's such a heinous thing to be rude. We should be teaching our kids that we want them to be rude if someone makes them uncomfortable. When I was stationed in Korea, my ex-girlfriend kept emailing my wife from different emails pretending to be women in Korea that I was cheating on her with. My wife and I had a pretty good laugh about it, and she eventually came clean. Her husband was not happy about her still obsessing over me. Edit. Almost forgot to add that my wife was never worried about the emails. In her words, "You're too socially awkward to get another woman to sleep with you." My husband was deployed in Afghanistan, so I had to go to church alone. One week, an older man, maybe 65, approached and said, "Can I sit here?" I said, "Sure." We had a bit of conversation, and he said, "My wife died a few weeks ago, and I was just praying this morning for God to send an angel I could sit with at church today." He seemed like a sweetheart. I felt bad for him. He sat next to me for a few weeks in a row. It didn't bother me too much. I brought him some homemade jam. He told me about how his son was also deployed. I mentioned he should really try getting into a church small group, that it would be great company for him. I set him up with one of the best. He said he wasn't sure how to get to the venue. If he gave me his number, could I tell him where the place was? He was confused. I said sure. Well, once I texted him the directions, I don't think he ever went to the group, but he had my phone number. He started calling 8 times a day, saying, "Hello, beautiful," and begging me to meet him at Waffle House. For the remainder of my husband's 6-month deployment, I did not go to church. I was really worried about running into that guy. I blocked his number and luckily have never seen him again. Months after my husband got back, I told him what happened, and of course he was livid. I broke up with a physically abusive boyfriend, and at the time, I worked about a 25-minute drive from where I lived. Always drove the same road home. My schedule never changed, and I began seeing his car and occasionally his friends' cars along my drive. Always parked off from the road a little and around some seriously sharp corners. At first, I didn't think anything of it, until it began happening at night. I'd do inventory every Tuesday night and be at work until 10 p.m. This was my only full night shift. This went on for about a month until I started switching my routes to and from work because I was getting creeped out. Easter ended up rolling around, and I, again, had to stay late to help my coworker change the signage. I worked at Subway. It was getting close to 9 p.m. and the work phone began ringing off the hook. It was my ex. My coworker, who knew what was going on, just muted the phone and we continued doing what we needed to do. Shortly after, we saw my ex standing outside in the middle of the road, staring into the restaurant. I hid behind the counter as soon as I could, and my coworker ended up telling me when he left. Got calmed down until we got to my car to find out he broke into my car and left a bunch of weed and a threatening note. I bought a new car the next week, fully equipped with a very loud alarm. That's terrifying. It was. Ended up moving to a town 6 hours away to be safe. But we all live and learn. As a bus driver, you're expected to be cheerful and chat with whoever while idle. A regular passenger started riding around, always in the front seat. Over a week or two, the conversation got quite personal, always by her initiative. I told my supervisor about this just to cover my ass. Then she started to bring me gifts, cookies, candy, beverages. Finally, she invited me over for a meal so her mom could meet her boyfriend. I had zero interest in the young woman and didn't want anything to do with her. Luckily, she moved or just avoided the bus during my shift. Oh my, that is so awkward. Yes, and I was torn whether I had accidentally encouraged her. My next girlfriend and wife of 32 years assured me that I did nothing wrong other than be a hunk. I had 2 instances when I was younger. One was the first boyfriend I ever had. 8th grade summer going into my first year of high school. We broke up after homecoming because of some very stupid young person drama, and he went absolutely psycho after that. Constant texts and phone calls, getting his friends to talk to me, harass me, etc. You know, the typical stuff. Culminated in him carving my name into his arm. He died of a heroin overdose in 2016. The second time was more of a slow burn. This was back in the day when AIM, MSN was popular. This guy I kind of knew from high school added me on AIM. He was a senior, actually a super senior, which makes it worse when I was a freshman, and he had been dating a fellow freshman classmate of mine for a while. We had similar music tastes and talked about the band Brand New a lot. We talked for a long time actually, just platonically, or so I thought. Instant messaging was kind of the thing back in the day, and I talked to a lot of people. I didn't have any cause for concern with him. He was someone that used to go to my high school, and we liked the same band. When the album The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me by Brand New came out, they went on tour and finally came to Seattle, and he was like, "Dude, let's go, I'll get you a ticket." And I was like, "You don't have to pay for me, I will pay for my own." But he insisted, so I was like, whatever. I buy my friends stuff all the time, that's fine. Keep in mind that he and that girl were long past broken up, and also keep in mind that he was about 21, 22 at this point, and I had just turned 16. So, he also insists on driving. I was like, score! I'm saving on gas, lol. The whole time he is kind of touching me a lot and acting really excited and whatever, and I'm just getting a vibe. Sorry if that's vague, but it was a vague vibe, lol. The concert was fine, kind of uneventful, and kind of a letdown because the band really acted like that was the last place on earth they wanted to be, and he just would not stop. Trying to hold my hand, grab my hips, etc., just way too handsy. And then I realized I had to drive home with him from Seattle, 30-ish plus minutes away. Car ride home, he was talking a lot and really excited and whatever, and it all kind of came out how he felt about me. Once again, he is in his early 20s and I'm barely 16 and I'm trapped in the car. When he drops me off, he makes a move and I reject it and tell him thank you for everything, but I don't feel that way. He got upset. He blew me up on AIM, typical nice guy TM stuff about how he bought my ticket and drove to Seattle, and all the years, 2, we'd been talking and me supposedly leading him on all this time, and apparently him and his ex actually used to fight about me because I guess he was obsessed with me even back then. It was super creepy. I was sad because I felt like I did something wrong and because I felt like I lost what I thought was a friend. I have no idea where he is or what he's doing now. I'm about to turn 30, so all this was a long time ago now. And I've had other creepy experiences in my life, but I think those early ones really form a big impression. Oh my! I was practically holding my breath when you said he confessed to you while trapped in a locked car. I'm so glad you got out of that.